your cell phone. Keep your dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the piano and muffle the drum. Bring out the coffin. Let the family and friends come. Let airplanes circle overhead, moaning, scribbling on the sky the message, he is dead. Put crepe bows around the necks of public doves. Let traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was our north, our south, our east, and our west, our working week and our Sunday rest, our talk, our noon, our midnight, our song. We thought he'd live forever. We were wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood. For nothing. Nothing now will ever come to any good. Wystan Auden, Funeral Blues. That particular poem suggests that death is never good. Nothing now will ever come to any good, because someone has died. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship is at my side, spreads her sails to the moving breeze, and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until, at length, she hangs like a speck of white cloud, just where the sand and sky come to mingle. Then, someone at my side says, she is gone. Gone where? Gone from my sight, that is all. She is just as large in mast, hull, and spar as she was when she left my side. And she is just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not her. And just at that moment, when someone says, there she is gone, on the other side, someone says, here she comes. Here she comes. A perspective on death that it's as simple as hopping into a ship, leaving one shore, and arriving in another. It's all about perception. Another one goes like this. You hear this a lot at funerals. It's the stupidest poem I've ever heard. And it's not signed, it's anonymous. You'll hear it, you'll recognize it. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I usually change it. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am a creep. I am a creep. It goes on to explain why you shouldn't stand at the grave and weep. Here it is. Are you ready for this beautiful wisdom? I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on the snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you wake in morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the soft starlight at night. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am a creep. I am a creep. I am not there. I do not sleep. This poem suggests that death is a transmutation. When the body expires, when it dies on schedule, then everything that lives inside moves into nature and becomes the wind and the birds and the snow. And I guess the hurricanes. And anything else that nature can produce. That is a version of what happens when the body dies. Here's another one. I'm only giving you the favorites. I'm going to read this in its original language, so it's a little challenging. Very King Jamesy. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, but which thy pictures be, much pleasure. Then from thee much more must flow, and soonest our best men with thee do go. Rest of their bones and soul's delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and dust with poison, war, and sickness dwell. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. John Donne, famous theologian and considered the founding father of mystical poetry, is describing the death of death. You have no power over me. A poppy or a charm can make me sleep. You have no power, death, because once death occurs, you yourself have died. Brilliant, huh? Don't you like that? How many of you are afraid to die? Put your hands up. One. The rest of you, get out. Go. Move along. You have nothing to learn. How many of you can't wait to die? I knew you'd say, oh well. How many of you are prepared?
Well, are we afraid to die or are we afraid of dying?
Which is it?
I'm not afraid to die. I'm afraid of dying.
The process.
The process.
How many of you are afraid of the process? Why are you afraid? You're dying right now. You're dying this very minute. Sitting in this church, you are dying. You know that, right?
It's the way we
I'm
die.
looking at some of you and you look dead to me already.
It's the way we die in our society. It sucks.
See, that's what gets me, is that people misunderstand their own existence. We act like we're alive. It is an illusion. You realize that medical science has now made it clear. We start dying the moment we are allegedly conceived. We're not really alive in the strictest sense of the philosophical term. We are dying well. Oh, we're not dying well. But every one of us is in the process of dying.
It's not pain, Mark. Most of us fear dying because we're afraid of pain.
Are you afraid of pain? Put your hands up.
Don't like pain.
How many of you are in pain right now? Yeah, I am too. I hurt every day. I hurt other people every day. Life's all about pain. That's the fault of the physicians, right? You come out, first thing that happens, you get slapped on the ass. That's life. They're teaching you right then, it's all about the butt, and it's all about being slapped all your life. And you learn from the very beginning. You haven't got a chance. Your life's all about pain and death. Am I painting a lovely picture? Now, you see, you realize, don't you, because you know me, this is the world I love. I love all things death and dying, because for me, that's the real life. I don't expect to stay here. I can't wait to get out of this body, because in my own personal opinion, there's more on the other side. It's going to be a whole lot more fun.
Suffering is different than being in pain.
How?
Hope. Suffering lacks hope.
Suffering lacks hope. Mahatma Gandhi suffered on purpose. It was an act of hope. It was all about hope. In fact, he suffered with hope. So did Mother Teresa. I could go on. Come on, teach me, instruct me. I'm coming out to you. You don't like being back there.
When my brother-in-law died, he wasn't in pain because hospice did a good job.
Hospice killed him?
No.
Hospice sedated him?
No.
They just kept him comfortable.
Yes. But he still suffered.
How?
The thing that he told me the most of the suffering was that he wasn't going to be there to take care of my sister.
So that caused him psychological, emotional, spiritual suffering.
Yes.
That he had to leave and not do the job.
Right.
Was there nobody else to take care of the sister?
I was there.
How'd that make you feel to hear that?
I never thought about it.
You need to. Think about that. That's an interesting statement for someone who's exiting that body to stay in your presence. That is it. Huh?
He said it to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll talk after class. I would have received that information very specifically, given the circumstances. Yeah. Let me read to you something else that's famous. Famous! Are you ready? You Bible-believing people. This is so famous I could just quote it, but I don't want to appear arrogant, so I won't do that. There's a time for everything and a purpose for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. Now everything else this passage in Ecclesiastes discusses gives you options in life. A time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to weep, a time to build, a time to gather stones, a time to scatter them. You have options in between birth and death. You don't get to pick the birth date. You don't get to pick the death date. Everything else you select. It's life's about choices. You wake up, you choose to be happy. You wake up, you choose to be a miserable son of a bitch. It's up to you every day. Whether you have pain or not, it's irrelevant. You can pick how you live your life and how you experience things. Now, what are your options when you die? Of course, I get asked this all the time, as if I actually know. I have a title, and I have badges, and one of them says clinical chaplain, one of them says grief counselor, one says reverend, one says minister. All these titles suggest that I'm supposed to know something about what happens when the body dies. I don't know anything, because I haven't died yet, technically. What I can teach people and what I can share with people is what we think we know based on what's on this side. This, supposedly, has been given by divine inspiration to about 38 men over a period of time. And if it in fact is what it says it is, then it is from the other side. It's a message from the other side. So if you believe in the canonics of the Bible and you believe in what's here, then you have a message from the other side. The problem is there's a lot of things in this book that don't make sense. It even discusses women's menstruation cycles. From the other side, why would God care about that? I don't care about them, do you? Not anymore. So I jotted down 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different beliefs about what happens when the body dies. We will not have time to go through all of them because each of them is a class in itself. What's the first and most obvious one? I won't even have to tell you. You'll know. Yeah.
Worms eat you.
Worms eat you. How many of you like that one? Worms, worms, worms. Back to the earth from which you came. So in fact, that tree you see on your walk could be a person. Maybe a person's body fertilized and helped to grow that tree. So 3 of you, at this point in time, are willing to raise your hands and say, you think you are food for the worms. You realize, of course, you'll have to really not properly compensate your funeral director for that to happen. Because true sarcophagi prevent worms and anything from getting in there. So you'll be protected from worms for a long time, unless you go cheap and you do the pine box, and even that's not cheap, and even that is secure because there are laws in the state of Florida to protect our environment. God forbid you should leak out into the environment. That's a problem. Because what if you had cancer? What if you had chemotherapy? You are now a toxic waste. And as you decompose, you will infect the environment. That's the law. So you must have some kind of container. Did you know that? You can't just go in the backyard and drop in the... You can't do that, not legally. Now, having said that, people do it. They do it on Tomoga Farms Road all the time. I get calls in the middle of the night. Can you come out of the service? Sure, where am I going? Just past the fence post and past the pig, and that's where I'll be. They own the property, they keep it private, and they just bury grandpa or grandma in the backyard the way it was done years ago. But if someone were to find out about it, they would have the body exhumed and they would be in big trouble. Because that's illegal. You just can't be worm food in Florida. And many other states as well. For sanitary reasons. Right?
Well, they do have green cemeteries.
They do have green cemeteries. In various places.
Maybe not so much in Florida.
Right. How many of you want to be worm food? You like that? Oh, so you're all going to go green. Green cemetery.
I want to be cremated.
You want to be cremated?
And have my energy days.
You you want to have your energy released. So we're going to burn you first to get the energy out. Will that burning create some kind of problem with the energy? What if it interrupts your cycles and your phases? You don't think so? When your energy is free, where will you go? What's your belief?
I believe that that's what I am. My energy. And once I'm dead, that's gone, and release the carbon compound, you know, burn it, the carbon goes back into the air. I believe there's only so much matter. You can't create matter, and so I get it released, and then they dump my ashes someplace.
So when you're released, where will you go?
Out into the universe of energy.
So you don't have a destination. You'll just rejoin all that is.
Yes.
And what if there is nothing there? It'll be your chance to get away from it all. But I understand what you're saying. She just said, in case you didn't hear, that she wanted to be cremated. A lot of folks choose that because it's financially smart. It's quick. It's convenient. People are very mobile today, so it's easy to have services later on at a later date with the cremains. They're called cremains, not ashes. If you've ever seen them, they're very far from ashes. They're not ashes at all. They're little pebbles. It looks like gravel in the driveway, and there's a little stuff on top, and if you drop it, some ashes will puff up and get in your nose or on your eye or something, and so that's not really what they are. But you'll be released. Now, let me ask a question. We're going in a different direction, but I don't care. I like this. When you are cremated, is it at that point your soul or your energy or your life force is released? Or are you released the moment your body dies?
Yes.
How many of you believe that? I thought so. That's good. You are all evangelicals. That is classic evangelical fundamental thought. That the soul cannot leave the body until the host dies. It's literally trapped. You have been assigned a soul, and that soul must stay with you until you breathe your last. Now, this gets complicated amongst theologians and bioethicists, because what if you are on a breathing machine and you're really not breathing on your own? Is the soul trapped when you're in a coma? These are all great questions. Great questions. Where do you go if you're in a coma? What happens if you're in a coma? What happens if you've got machines controlling your heart, lung, and brain function, but you're clinically dead? Are you trapped, or have you taken off already? We don't know. People who come back and talk about their experience, if they survive a situation like that, often don't have a lot of information or insight. Some will describe a brightness, some will describe darkness, some will describe dreamlike states. We just simply don't know. It's all about belief. I think you're stuck. I think you cannot leave your body until your body dies, which is why I don't want any medical professional to hinder the death of my body. If you can't repair me, let it go so that I can be free. The last thing I want is my soul to be trapped in a body on a machine having stupid people come visit me and say stupid stuff that I'm going to be forced to listen to. I don't want that. Just let me go.
What if there's no soul?
Ah! What if there's no soul? I took care of a man one time. That's almost always a man. Men are pigs, really. Almost always a man, and he believed he had no soul. Oh, he was gruff, and I think he was in his 80s, and he said, I don't want to see the chaplain. Of course, within 2 days, he's asking for the chaplain. So, you know me, I'm so tactful, I walk in and say, what the hell do you want? You didn't want to see the chaplain. Why am I in here? He said, close the door. You know when that happens, something's about to happen. I've lived my whole life believing I'm just a body. And I'm about to die. And I've always believed I'm just going to die. And it's all going to be black, and it's all going to be over, and it's all going to end. I said, good. I'll see you. Goodbye. I started to leave, and he said, I'm scared. I'm scared I've been wrong all these years. I'm scared. Can you help me not be scared? So I sat down and we talked for an hour. And I tried to help him not be scared. And I offered him multiple versions of what may occur. And I invited him to use his imagination, which he has done over the years, imagining what he thought would occur. And I suggested to him that it has been suggested that the human imagination is an element of the soul's expression. And if you can imagine it, that could become your version of afterlife, of heaven. That comforted him. So he with me sat there and imagined what he'd like to see happen. And he developed for himself peace. And when he exhaled, he went into his imagination. That energy, that spirit, that soul that he imagined while he was alive left his body. I was there. You don't always get to time it just right. I was there when he went, the last breath, that last breath. It was so peaceful and easy. No struggle, no difficulty. He'd come to peace with it. He'd come to peace even with the fact that if his imagination has mistaken and there is nothing, then he won't know what he's missing. Because if there's nothing and it all stops, you're not going to say, damn it, because there'll be nothing to say damn it with. Right? I mean, if there's really nothing and it all just stops, your memories, your thoughts, your hopes and dashed dreams, your connections to family on the planet still, if it all just gets severed, then you're not going to have to worry about anything. It's over. It is over. I don't like that. The idea that I've had to live all these years and suffer and have friends and family just gone, just wiped out, all of my acquired knowledge just gone, my perceptions over, just over. If that's true, I can say to you without any problem, as a philosopher and theologian, this has been a waste of time. Because I've not had a whole lot of fun. Honestly, this has been a waste of time for me. If that's all there is, that's not enough for me. I'm going to be very disappointed. Of course, I won't be there to know it, if that's true. There has to be more for me. I'm living as if there is more. So it's a crapshoot. Some days I decide to get up and think, all right, we'll see if I make it today. There are people who think that it's just blackness. It stops. People who end their lives on purpose often think that. They want to make it stop. If, in fact, that's true, then, in fact, there is peace, and it has stopped. But if there is more, then what have you stopped? You've stopped the physical experience. I do believe that there are souls, energy, life force put in the wrong bodies. I don't know how that happens. There needs to be a spiritual exchange program. I want to initiate it, where people who don't want their lives can exchange them for people who knew. I'd love to see that. A drug addict killing themselves. You know, like my nephew, who's 27, who's just destroying his life. He doesn't want his life. He doesn't want any of it. So why can't we just take his spirit out of that 27-year-old body and give it to somebody with leukemia with a year left to live? Why can't we exchange it and go ahead and let him die? Because that's what he's trying to do. Why can't we just trade like that? Wouldn't that be great? Then we could use all that energy and all that potential to make a life that will only be lost and forgotten completely once you die. See the problems we have philosophically with this? And I have 2 minutes left. I have so much more to say about this. So much more to say about this. Some of you believe in reincarnation. Raise your hands if you believe in that. Or the possibility. Ah, good. You want to come back as another human, not a tree or a bird or a duck or a human. Who wants to come back as a human? How many of you think you're human right now? You're not sure what you are. There's a passage in the New Testament in the book of Romans, and you alluded to it, Carrie, and the passage is, a discussion of everything that dies, except one thing cannot die. It's love. That love cannot die. And love is connected in the Old and New Testament and in all the other powerfully well-known books to the soul. So that there is something that survives the body. I believe that we have a lot of disembodied spirits out there. Spirits that leave their body by death, and they're disembodied. They have no home to go to, per se. Now, we haven't even discussed heaven as a concept, nor have we discussed hell as a concept. You know my thoughts about hell. I think, just like Jean-Paul Sartre, that hell is other people. That's a joke. But that's what he believed, that there was no hell. Hell was everybody who wasn't him. That there's a hell here on earth we can have. That there's no need to create one in the afterlife. We live in hell now. We're trying to make the best of our lives. See, so in the end, I'll end with all I can give you. It's really all about perception. In 32 years of watching bodies die, I have asked every single one of them, send me a sign. Tie a string to my finger and a string to yours. Yank on it, just something so that some of the things that I think I know, I'll have some verifiable evidence. I have never had a yank yet. I've had intuitions. I've had strange dreams. I've had odd things happen, very unexplainable things, which suggests there's something going on, but I can't prove any of it. So I'll conclude by saying, if I don't make it home today, and I'm killed in a car accident, or if I die tonight in my sleep, I promise everyone in this room, I will try and come find you. And I will try and be pleasant and fun and playful so that you won't be frightened. God bless.